My wife and I went hiking this weekend. I love hiking because it's different, but it's familiar. Things change all the time, but they're still kind of the same, but you get to see new things at the same time because it's always different. During hiking, I like it because I can switch my brain off and I can think about things. And this week, I kind of thought a lot about failure. What failure is, how we deal with it, how we talk about it. And I think the reason that failure popped up in my head was because of Hank Green's video this week. I'll link it down in the description below. But essentially, failure is something that's part of our lives all the time, but we don't really talk about it very much. As a middle school teacher, I see this all the time. At the beginning of the year, I tell my students that they are going to fail at my class. And I kind of explain that as failure is not a grade, because it's very hard to fail my class. But failure is an option. Failure is something you need to go through to learn, to grow, to change. So when I talk about failure, again, I'm not talking about grades. I'm talking about that they had an objective that they didn't meet. I tell them the story of me as a middle schooler. I was an awful middle school student. I failed multiple classes. I didn't try. I didn't really care. And I want to convey that because I want them to know that I understand where they're coming from and I have been there. I've been in their shoes and I want to show the benefit of trying, of caring about things, of giving it your all. Because without trying, what's really the point of doing everything? My biggest inspiration for failure and embracing failure and embracing what it means is my son. He's only 13 months old and he's taught me a whole lot about not only parenting but life in general, even though he's not really aware of that because he can't really communicate other than crying or smiling at me. But he's taught me so much about failure. He fails more than anything I've ever seen. He falls when he doesn't get what he wants. He cries. Basically, everything he tries to do, he's terrible at the first few times he does it. But he always goes at it and he always tries to attack it the best way possible. And sometimes he doesn't know what the best way is, so he tries a whole bunch of different ways and he'll eventually figure it out. And that's kind of the feeling I wanted to invoke in my students. That feeling of that failure's okay, and that even though I didn't succeed this time, there should be a different way to approach something, a different way to be going about it, and a different way to solve the problem. Being a teacher who teaches a lot of STEM principles, that's really what I want to do. I want to teach students the ability to problem solve, and not just concrete problems like math, but abstract problems where I give them an end goal and that's it. They have to figure out how to get there. My son, I don't give him the problems. He comes up with them on his own and he's able to solve them. And I'm just absolutely enamored and in awe of what he does and how he approaches life. He does it without even realizing it, and I think that's the true human spirit, and I wish that we could all keep that inside of us. As I said before, I really like hikes. They allow me to clear my brain and kind of think about things in a different way, and failure is kind of what popped up during this hike. I'll see you next week.